10-7, volume of prisms and cylinders. Again, this is a lesson where it's okay to use a calculator, so if you have one, pull it out and we'll get started. Our objective today is to find the volume of prisms and cylinders. Volume is equal to the number of cubic units it takes to fill a figure. So imagine filling up a can of soda or a box with peanuts or something like that. Now volume is equal to the base times the altitude, which is the height. So V is equal to B times altitude. Base times altitude. And V is equal to volume. So think about what is the figure sitting on, and in this case it's a rectangle or a square, and then you have the volume lifting it up. So V is equal to the base times the altitude. We said the base was a rectangle or square, so to find the area of a rectangle or square, remember it's length times width. So we've got length and our width and then our altitude. So in this case we'd go L times W times H, or altitude. What's our base? In this case it's a triangle. Then we raise it up, and since our base is a triangle, remember to find the area of a triangle, it's the base of the triangle multiplied by the height divided by 2, or multiplied by 1/2. So we have 1/2 times the base times the height, or base times height divided by 2. For a cylinder, we have our base is a circle, and then we have our altitude. So to find the area of a circle, remember we are looking for r, so it's pi times r squared times the altitude. So let's go ahead and try this. Find the volume, and we're going to round to the nearest whole unit. So find the base, and what are the dimensions of the base? Think in your head, say it out loud, write it down, whatever, but what's the base here? You need to be figuring this out on your own. We've got 8 and 6. And then we multiply that by 7. So this is where you pull out your handy dandy calculator. I would want you to write V is equal to 8 times 6 times 7. I want to know where your answer is coming from. Do not just write the answer. So if we multiply all that out, we get 336 cubic inches. Make sure you label it with the units to the third power. Third power means we're talking about volume. And that's our answer for number 1. Number 2. Again, we want to round to the nearest whole unit. Again, volume is equal to the base multiplied by the altitude. In this case, our base is what? It's a triangle. How do you find the area of a triangle? It's 1/2 times the base times the height. Then we'll multiply that by the altitude. So we plug everything in, and we have 5 for our base, 12 for our height, and then the altitude of the figure is 16. Multiply that together, we'll get 480 cubic feet. If there's questions, let me know on Edmodo, and I'll do my best to help you out. If you also want to do it by dividing by 2, you can. Number 3. Again, we're finding it to the nearest whole unit. What kind of base do I have? What's my altitude? Our base in this case is a circle, so our area is going to be equal to pi times r squared times the altitude. So pi is about 3.14, r is to the second, 2 is to the second power, and our altitude here is 9. So we'll have 3.14 times 16 times 9. Multiply that out, we'll get 452 and 1600ths. We're rounding to the nearest whole unit. So find the decimal point, look to the right. If it's 0 to 4, we leave it alone. If it's 5 or more, we raise it up. Since that's a 1, we're going to leave it alone, and we'll get 452 cubic units. And that's basically it. It's a short lesson. Make sure you have all those written down so that you will be ready for the lesson tomorrow. If you have questions, please post them on Edmodo.